Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Ben Woodthorpe. I'm here to do a little bit with you today on some online and offline forms using Word and Excel. I'll explain a little bit more about what I'm going to talk about and how the webinar is going to work, and then we'll get cracking and have a little bit of a look at it. It's going to be very much a practical session, this. Just a few housekeeping things. Somewhere around the screen that you're looking at this webinar through will be a button which says Q&A. Now, usually it's towards the top right-hand corner, and it really depends on how you've joined, whether you're on a Mac or a computer or maybe you're on your phone or a tablet. But if you look around the screen, there's a button called Q&A, or it'll be called Chat. Now, if you have any questions during the session, feel free to ask them using that window. Now, this sounds daft. We're here to talk about forms in Word and Excel. So if you ask me a question about PowerPoint, I'm going to struggle a little bit because obviously we've got a limited amount of time to talk. But that being said, if you do want to send an email to us, by all means, I'll try my best to help you after the session. Don't wait till the end to ask any questions because they just stack up as a list at my end. So what I'll do is I'll probably carry on talking because it's only me doing this webinar, and then at a reasonable point I'll have a little bit of a look at the questions and try and bottom them out on the actual session and answer them there and then. Also, don't worry about making loads of notes because I'll send you a little one-page wonder. So basically, one page in Word giving you the general gist of what the webinar's about with some hints and tips. And I'll also send you a link to the YouTube page where we'll post the webinar on after the training session so that you'll be able to re-watch this video whenever you want. So don't worry about making loads and loads of notes. So what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be having a look at two types of form which are quite easy to do in Microsoft Office. One is we can do what I would call an offline form in Word. And basically the idea of that is that's really good for things like job applications, etc. And you can do a lot of formatting in that form. That is basically things like drop-down boxes, date pickers, tick boxes, that kind of thing. You've got a lot of control over how it looks. You can put logos on it and all sorts of things. But the idea with that is you'd have to maybe email it to the person, they can fill it in, and they can send it back. So you've got the really cool thing of you have a lot of control over how it looks. But in terms of gathering the data, if you've got to get a lot of data pulled in, it's not the best, because you've got to collate the data afterwards. That's where forms in Excel come in. And this is actually more forms of Office 365 because forms in Excel are a way that you can create an online form where, again, you can have drop-down boxes, tick boxes, all sorts of other types of questions. But when people fill it in, you effectively email a link to the person that you want to fill it in. They fill it in, and then all of the responses are collected into a list inside your Excel spreadsheet. But the downside to this one is it's really good for collection versus Excel not being so great for collecting a lot of data. But the benefit of this, it's really good for collection. But the downside is you don't have as much control over how it looks. Yeah, but it's quite clever. It works on phones, it works on PCs, tablets, you name it. Okay. Now, offline forms in Word, as long as you've got a license for, really a version of Word 2003 onwards, or they really ideally 2007 onwards, you'll be able to do that. Online forms in Excel, you either need to be an Office 365 subscriber, yeah, so paying on a monthly basis and you get your OneDrive with Microsoft and you pay for it, or you can sign up for a free live account with Microsoft and you don't get exactly the same thing, but it's pretty similar. Instead of being called forms, it's called surveys, and you can still do the same thing. You just don't get quite exactly the same look and feel, but similar kind of gist. So by hook or by crook, you can achieve both of these. So look, while I've got you as a captive audience, a little bit of a plug, it'd be rude not to. We offer training courses, a few different methods. We can either come to your premises, bring laptops, deliver a course. This webinar that I'm talking to you on now, we can actually do these bespoke for up to 100 people, whatever course content you want, and you can have it run in your company. We also do, scheduled dates, and we have an online training library, which is a bit like Netflix as well. So, feel free, get in touch after the webinar. If you like what you see, we'll talk to you about any of the training needs you've got. And we also offer, kind of like recommend a friend rewards, in the sense, we'll discount any training that you want to have in the future if you recommend us on, or help you out in that way. And just a small cross section of what we cover. So Access, Excel, Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, projects, SharePoint. We do Power BI, Visio, OneNote. We do InfoPath, but less people want that. But there's other areas, Visual Basic. Anyway, let me shut my mouth and let's talk about what you're here actually to see, okay? So the first thing that I want to show you, because this one is the one which is more relevant to the bulk of people, because obviously as long as you've got Word, you can do this. I'm going to show you Word forms first of all, okay? And keep in mind, normally on a course, I would spend way longer on both of these areas. So this is very much a shallow dive into it to give you the idea. So let's talk about, I don't know, let's say we're doing a job application form, right? And this is a very common thing I see done in Word. And this is generally speaking how people approach a job application form. They will come along and they'll maybe, if you're thinking about it quite a bit, you maybe do a table, something like this, and you'll maybe have, I don't know, I want name, I want date of birth, and correct me on this, I'm not HR, so I'm probably getting this massively wrong. But here we go, address, maybe job title, and something along the lines of when can you start, for instance. And here we go, let's add another one. Let's say, do you drive? And that is the kind of layout you get, and that job application gets sent out, and some people will print it off and fill it in manually and scan it, but other people will click into here and start typing. But the problem with that is if you don't understand Word, you can get a bit of a mess. You end up sort of like moving columns around, and I haven't got enough space for it, and it's bodging up a fair bit. That's where forms come in. Now, the benefit of this is if you've already got, let's say this job application form, you've already got it set up with all your logos, you've got your table laid out, and the bones of what you want is there, you don't have to start again. All you need to do is you have to add in the form controls, which are little things that are things like drop-down boxes or date pickers or tick boxes into the existing form. Now, in order to do this, what you've got to make sure you have is this tab here called Developer has to be enabled. Now, by default, this is not visible unless you have physically told Word that you want to see it. And Developer, Excel has a Developer tab, PowerPoint has a Developer tab, and it exposes stuff in the application that not a lot of people tend to use. That's why they hide it. But let me show you how you do this, because I've already got mine there. Any one of the tabs, you right-click on it, you go to Customize the ribbon. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are other ways to get to this as well, but this is the quickest way. So right-click on any tab, go to Customize the ribbon, and you will find on yours, if you do not have the Developer tab, this little tick box here for Developer will be unticked. Okay, so if I untick it, look, Houdini, Developer disappears. If I right-click, Customize the ribbon, tick Developer there, click OK, can you see the Developer tab reappears? Okay. Now, bulk of this tab you're not going to need for what we're doing. The bit we're interested in, there's two sections. There is controls just here, and we're also going to have a look at this button here called Restrict Editing, because there's two steps to this in Word. We're going to put the things we want people to fill in on the Word file, but then we're going to make it so that they can't do anything other than fill in that form and only use your boxes. So that's where you get the nice, easy to use form, but you've got the control over what people can do. And then you end up with better inputs sent to you. So look, I'm not going to show you every instance of this, but things you've got here. And I apologize, the buttons are a bit small on here, but if I just go over this, that's one called Rich Text Control. That means you can put normal text and you can put formatted text in there as well, so like bold, italic, underline. Plain text control means they can't do any formatting. So for me, I don't really want people putting their name in and then underlining it, making it bold and italic. I just want the name. So I probably wouldn't bother with rich text control for this one. I would go for plain text. And can you see it adds this box in here? Yeah, it says click or tap here to enter the text. So that is what I would call almost like a placeholder. That's a box where when eventually we restrict editing, people can type into that box, yeah? But it will only let us put plain text in there. Also, any one of these controls, if you click onto the control and click onto the button that says properties, there are further options around how this control is going to behave and what it looks like. So look, we've got what color. Do we want to remove the control when you've typed in what you want to go for? Are we going to let people use carriage return? So multiple lines. So there's all sorts of things you can control in there. So look here, date of birth. Now date of birth, if you want, you could go for a date picker. And there are other controls. Look, text controls. I've got one here where you can insert a picture. We have this one called building block, which is for quick parts. Tick boxes, which I'll show you that. Combo box and drop down list. They're just different forms of drop down box. And then can you see here, date picker control? Okay. So if I click onto that, what that then gives me, this, can you see I get a little drop down box, pop it down. Can you see there's a date picker? Now, personally, I would probably say for something like date of birth, the date picker is a bit bad, because can you see what someone's going to have to do to actually put the date in they want if they want to use the calendar? It's a bit, bit fiddly. But maybe the when can you start date would be a good one to use the date picker. But I'll leave that in there for now for you. Address, maybe I'm going to say, well, I'm going to go rich text this time because I want them to be able to put some formatting on there. But then I'm also going to go into this, go to the properties, or I can right click and go to, oh, not in this version, sorry about that. Properties at the top. And can you see, actually, rich text controls let you do carriage returns by default, so there's no option for that, so that's fine. Job title, maybe you've got 3 or 4 different job titles that you want people to potentially be able to apply for. So I would go along and maybe pick either a combo box or a drop-down list control. Now, the difference between these two are, combo box means they can pick from a drop-down box of options you define, or they can put something in which is free text, so something which you have not defined. So you could define, I want someone for an IT support role and a manager, but then someone might put banana in there because you've given them, I'm being random here, but you've given them the option of putting whatever you want. Whereas drop-down box, that is, you can only pick from my list. So again, gives you that kind of option of doing what you want. So I'll go for a drop-down box. And can you see that gives me a little drop down, choose an item. There's no items in there, so how we do that, we go to the properties again. Loads of things you can change about it, but down here for the drop down box, add an item. So I'm going to put IT support, click OK. There's one item, add an item. Let's put in here, I don't know, admin support. I'll just add 2 jobs in there because I don't want to bore you putting loads of jobs in. And then once I'm ready, click OK. Can you see that now has got, choose an item, which is like the default, IT support or admin support. When can you start? Again, look, that's like, open goal here. Let's go for date picker. Makes perfect sense. Really quick and easy. Go and find the date you're going to start on there. Jobs are good. And excuse me. And do you drive, I know you can have a drop-down box saying, have you got a full, provisional, or whatever, but I just want something really simple like a tick box just there, yes or no, for instance. So, I mean, really, do you know what? Building the form is really, it's a piece of pie, If you've got your layout already, you just need to know you need the developer tab. And, I'm giving you very much a quick insight into this. There's way more this does, but can you see it's just a matter of using these controls just up on here, okay? And it's a matter of having a little bit of a play with those controls. Now, the only other thing you've got now with this is, you send this off to someone, can you see they can still change stuff, blah, 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 type in the bits that you don't want them to type. You see what I mean? They've still got blanket control to do what they want. So the final step really is what you need to do here is in the developer tab, or I do believe if we go to, what one is it? Yeah, review. So either review or developer, you can get this option. There's one at the end of review called restrict editing, or in developer, there's one there called restrict editing. Now, again, this is another part of Word which I am very quickly showing you, but there's more to it than what I'm showing you now. But if I click restrict editing, here we go. We've got 3 sections. You can restrict editing to limit to a selection of styles that you've defined. So, I mean, that is mega good there. If you've got a very set standard layout style of document you want to produce, like engineering companies tend to be very, very, I want this type font, this size font for headings. Well, you can set up styles, tick this, and then pick all of the styles that you want people to be able to do. And then they can't do manual formatting. They have to pick your styles. That's really good for templates. But the one we're going to use, we're going to leave that. Edit restrictions, allow only this type of editing on the document, right? So pop this down. Track changes means when you send this over to someone, they can do whatever they want, but everything they do is tracked, and you can go and accept or reject the changes that they've made. But they can't make change without it being tracked. Comments means they can't actually change the content of the document. They can add comments to it. Filling in forms, that's what we want. I'll come back to that in a minute. No changes, read only means it's similar-ish to a PDF, I suppose. You know, they can't change it, but it's quite good because they can like drag over the text and copy and paste out. The only thing I'll say there is more people have Adobe Acrobat installed than have Word. Yeah, so if you're thinking of, oh, I'm going to ditch PDFs and use this, it's a great idea, but obviously you might find more people are like, well, I ain't got Word or nothing to open it with. But look, here's the one, filling in forms. Tick that. Right, so I am only allowing people to fill in forms. So what that means is all of these things that I've put in here, which are form items, form controls, they're the only things whoever opens this file can change. They can't do anything with the table, can't do anything with those labels. And then we go here, yes, start enforcing protection. Now, here we go, password, right? And this is a password to remove the restriction. So what I tend to say with this is, if it's something that's going external, yes, put a password on it. But if it's something internal, I'd hesitate to put too many passwords on things like this, because what happens if you leave, someone needs to be able to edit the form, or at the very least, if you do put a password in, document it. But, you know, I'll put a password in here so you can see how it works. I'm going to put my bulletproof 1, 2, 3 in there. You have to put it in twice to confirm it. We click OK. Now, can you see this section here on the right, restrict editing? Now all of that stuff's gone, and at the bottom it says stop protection. You can click that restrict editing and it will hide that panel. Whenever you click it again, can you see that panel comes back in? So now we're restricting so we can't change anything. If I try and click, can you see I'm trying to click on date of birth or address or job title, or trying to do stuff with the form, or I'm trying to, you know, come along and do some formatting, can't do anything. All of that tab's grayed out. But what I can do is click in here. If I could type my own name, that is Ben Woodthorpe, date of birth. Right, I went for the date picker, so I'm just going to go and just pick a random date just there. See, there's a date. Address, some place, some town. And this one should give us some formatting options in here. Let's have a quick look. Maybe I have to right click. Right, okay, so maybe I disabled that. I don't know if I put free rich text on there. But here we go, job title. Pop this over down. Can you see that IT support? Really quick and easy, you know, rather than getting them to, you know, look it up and type in the wrong thing. Do you drive? Yeah, tick. Oh, when can you start? Well, you know, I fancy a holiday, so I'll start in October. Boom. There you go. Jobs are good. A bit of a long holiday, but there you go. But can you see with that, there's quite a bit of work to get it set up right, but can you see you get exactly the look and feel? We could whack a logo on there. We can lay it out exactly how we want it to be. And we've got a lot of control. But here comes the problem with this. Person's filled it in. And this, do you know what? This is me putting my geeky IT hat on, saying it's a problem. do you know what? It's only a problem because I know there's another way of doing it. I can get loads more people to fill it in. But problem with this is they've got to email that to me. And if I need to like stack that list of information into one spreadsheet to maybe compare candidates together, well, I've got to manually do that. Yeah. There'll be a way of doing it with Visual Basic, which will be quite a bit of coding, not easy to do, and it'll be doable, but it's a bit kind of hacky, if you see what I mean. But you get exactly the look and feel. And if you just want, I mean, for instance, when we have new starters, we use this kind of thing because we're not having loads of people start. It is just, I need to keep that on file, but I want it in a very particular format. And ideally, I want it electronically because, if you saw my handwriting, you wouldn't be able to read it. So, I mean, we just want it so it's clear to read, but it's really good for that. So that is Word forms. And I'll leave that to one side for now. What I'll do as well is I'll send you, along with the one-page wonder, I'll send this example to you as well. So you've got this particular example to have a look at and, have a go filling in. As well, if you want to remove the protection, it's just review. We go edit, restrict editing, stop protection. And then obviously you've got to supply your password to remove that protection. And when I send you this, I'll send it protected but without a password so you can take it off. But yeah, jobs are good. And yeah, there's more stuff you can do, but that's the general bones of it. And to be honest, everyone here is smart cookie, be able to like have a bit of a play and figure out all the other bits. So if you need any help, get in touch and we can provide some support if you want any training, etc. So next thing. So that is the kind of glove that fits most people's hands in terms of, I'd imagine most of you have got Word installed. Here comes the, I've got a question from Jane. Does the recipient have to have Windows 7 or above or 365? I'm assuming you mean to fill that Word form in. So Jane, what they need is, it's the same, like the rules for if you send a file that you've saved from Word or Excel, and you've saved it as like the Excel 2007 or 2010 file format. If you've saved it as that file format, they need that version up to open it. But, if I go back to my Word document, here we go, let's just get this open. If I go and hit Save As, so I'm in Excel 2016, right? So if I just click into here, let's just pop this one down. Can you see there? Save as type Word document. Look, Word template. Word document even, Word 97 to 2003. So really what it does, it depends on the, can you see the type of file that you save it as to, who can open that file. But that's very much down to, normal run of things anyway. So you're definitely going to have Word installed for it to work at the other end. But it's just the version you save it as to, who can open it on that score. I'm going to mark that as answered, Jane. I hopefully that'll answer your question. If it doesn't, just re-ask, and I'll have another stab at it. If anyone else has got any questions, by all means, type away. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the next one, which is I'm going to show you the, brilliant, yeah, fantastic. Jane says that's great. So I'm going to show you the next one. And this one, for me, this is really good if you've got to collect a lot of data, yeah? And you don't want the hassle of collating it. But the payoff with this is you can't be too precious about how it looks, yeah? You haven't got I can put the name box there, I can put a logo on it. It's far more structured how they want you to do it, but you just effectively, you send the link out and you could have 500 people fill it in and you just end up with a spreadsheet with those 500 people that have filled it in. So it's really, really quick for gathering data. Now, to do this, you need to have either a Office 365 subscription with OneDrive, or if you don't pay for it, sign up for a free Microsoft Live account and sign into OneDrive, and you can do a very, very similar thing. It's not exactly the same, but it is very, very similar, and you can get the same effect. Look, to give you a complete view of things, this is Microsoft's version. There is also a version of this idea in Google Documents as well. very, very similar thing. Again, that's called Forms 2, I believe. But look, there's a number of ways of doing this. The way I prefer is I tend to go to the folder in my OneDrive that I want to add the form to, because effectively it creates an Excel spreadsheet and attaches a form to that spreadsheet. And what I do, I go to, when I'm in the place I want to create the form, I pop it down, I go new, and then I'm going to go to, I'm actually going to go to Excel Workbook. Yeah, you can do forms for Excel if you want, but I'm going to do Excel Workbook. Reason why that is, it gives you a bit more of an idea of how this is generating it. So it's going to open my new Excel Workbook, which at the moment is called Book 1, which I should be able to rename in a minute. Excuse this, it's just taking a moment to refresh on my computer. There we go. If you want, you can rename it at the top, and here we go. Let's click into here. Let's call this my first form or something like that. So look, forget the fact we're here to look at forms. If you've got your online subscription for Office 365, this is available to you. Yeah, online version of Excel, online version of Word, view it in a web browser, on a laptop, as long as you log in, view it on your phone. Really, really good. So I'd encourage you, if you're not aware of it, log into your online account and just have a poke around in here, because it's not the complete version of Excel, but can you see it's pretty damn good? You know, there's a lot of conditional formatting, format as table, you know, insert, we've got pivot tables in here, and this is all in a web browser. And I'm in Chrome now, which isn't a Microsoft product, so it's pretty good. But how you get it, you can either go on the Home tab, Forms, just there, pop it down and go New Form, or you go Insert and you go Forms just there. Now, in the free version of OneDrive, it won't be called Forms, it will be called Surveys. That's what you're looking for if you don't pay for it. But idea of it is, click New Form. Now it's going to open another tab. Can you see there's one there called My First Form? That's the Excel spreadsheet. We've got a new tab called Microsoft Forms. For some reason, maybe because I'm streaming this to you, it's taking it a little bit of a while to refresh. Okay, this famous last words. When I practiced this before, it was absolutely fine. Just 1 second. Let's just have a little bit of another go at that. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry about this, folks. Let me just go back in here. We'll start a new Excel file. This could be because I'm streaming to you and it's using some of our bandwidth in the office to do so. But generally, to be honest, earlier on this worked first kick, so don't let this put you off. This will work for you when you get into doing this. Let me just have one more crack. Famous last words for IT, this, isn't it? There we go. New Excel workbook. There we go. I know this is like watching paint dry for you here. Cheers for sticking with us. Just refreshing now, so I'm just going to go to Insert. And again, just to be clear, you do have to do this in the online version of Excel. You don't have the option for forms or surveys in your installed version of Excel on your computer. So you have to log into the online version. Here we go. There we go. It's kicking in now. So here it is. Apologies for that little delay there. Here is the form. Now, personally, I think they've done a really good job of doing this, because it's, can you see at the top we've got a title, so this is where we can call it, I don't know, let's call this job application. Yeah, job application, put a description on there, please enter your details below. And you might put some notes about it, give us a call if you've got any problems. And the cool thing about this is, while you're doing it, you see at the top right, it says save. So it saves whatever you're doing as you go along. So basically what you do is you go add a question. There's 4 main options they give you at the start. There's also 3 dots there for some more options. So things you can do, look, if I go add a question, choice. So this is a bit like a drop-down box. So it could be job you are applying for, right? And again, similar kind of thing. So this would be IT support or admin support. Now, really good thing about this is over and above the Word version is, right, we have a little bit more control of how we do these, like multiple answers, you're applying for 2 jobs. If you want to add another option or add option, I'll just put in there. Enroll application, for instance. See there, you've got one called required. So I can require that person to answer that question. It won't let them submit the form unless they actually choose an option. Go into here. Do you want a subtitle? Can you see you can put more detail in there? Don't want that. If you're doing a survey, you could shuffle options. You can actually get it to shuffle these questions. Do you want it as a tick box or do you want it as a drop-down box? I'll stick with that. Add a question, right? Next thing, name. So I'm going to go for text. So let me get rid of that. See, can you see any of these questions? That's the question from before. So it's building the form as I go along. If I click onto them, it comes up with the options. If I click to this one I've just started, so you've got a little delete question option. Deletes that, can re-add it in. So I'm going to go for a name, so I'm going to go for text. So I'm going to put I'm terrible at typing today. Your name, definitely required for sure. Long answer means they'll get a big box to fill in. Untick that, it's just a small box. So for name, I'd leave it as that. For anything where you want free text and loads of words, long answer. Again, you've got other options, subtitle. Now, here's a weird one. Text is how you do a number. So you've got one here called restrictions where you can restrict it to just be numbers, greater than, less than, between. So to do a number, you've got to make it text and then pick the fact that you want it to be restricted to number. Obviously, name will leave as text. Add, here we go, rating. I'll randomly put this one here and I'll just call it rating so you can see it. What level, how many stars are you going to go for? 5, 10, you're having stars, you're having number. Again, is it required? Can you see label, subtitle, all different things? And, you might come along and halfway through your form, you think to yourself, right. And if you click away, can you see it shows you what the form's going to look like? Well, name really, that should be above job title. Click it up. Can you see if I click away, there's your name, what job title you're applying for, rating. See, it puts a little star against all the ones that are required as well. If I go add a question, date, when can you start? When can you start this job, right? So if I now, again, look, it's a date picker. Is it required? Yes, need to know that. Have you got a subtitle? You move it up, move it down. You've also got, can you see here, click onto that. You've got this one here, which copies a question. So I can duplicate a question. So look, when can you start? When can you start? Both date pickers. So if you've got 2 date-based questions that, generally speaking, the question's fairly similar, you can just duplicate it. But look, I'm going to delete this. There's my form. So that's me. Can you see you build it as it looks, basically? Then after that, there's a button at the top that says preview. Now, if I click onto preview, that's what it's going to look like on a computer. And if I click onto this button here called mobile, that's what it's going to look like on a mobile phone. So it's called responsive layouts in web development. It kind of resizes the form to fit the kind of device that it's going to be on. And again, this kind of thing, if you go to a web developer to get this kind of thing done, sometimes it's not a cheap thing to do. And you can do this in 10 minutes. But if I click back, responses, you can look in here for any responses you've had. Personally, I'll show you it's better in Excel. Here's the limitation on the styling and the appearance. Look, theme. This is all you get in terms of changing the appearance. Do you want it to be blue? Do you want it to be that pomegranate, they call it, orange, purple? Or do you want an alien in the background or someone on a snowboard? Or can you see this is because they're trying to cater for like school kids for this? It's a one size fits all kind of thing, and you want to get all like the new blood using it, I suppose, really over time. Then after that, so preview is what it's going to look like. Share theme is the fluffy color coding stuff. Share is how do you want to share it? Yeah. So you pop this down. So here's an option. And you generally only get this if you've got a paid for account, this option. Do you want to allow anyone with the link to be able to respond, or do you only want people in your organization to respond? So that means the first one means if you give the link out, anyone can fill that form in, right? So that is good if it's people external. If you leave this one ticked, it means if you give the link, they have to have an organizational account. So like we're woodthorpeit.com. Anyone who fills that form in would have to sign in with a Woodthorpe IT email account to be able to fill this in. And that has benefits because it tags the name of the person who's filled the form in based on their email account, so it can be quite good. Whereas this one, you're relying on what they tell you. But I'm going to do anyone with the link can respond. I can see I've had a question, which I'll come back to in a minute. Here we go. There's the link. So if you copy that, you can email it, paste it off. It will generate a QR code. You can download the QR code. They'll click, scan that with the phone, and it goes to the form. This is really clever. This bit. This is the code that if you have, say, a WordPress website or something where you can get to the HTML, copy that, paste it into the web page you want it to be on. I mean, this could be intranet, SharePoint, or otherwise. And to be honest, this works with SharePoint really, really well. There's a version of this for SharePoint as well. But basically, that means embed that form inside a web page, and then you can brand around it then if you wanted to. Or look, click on there. I want to generate an email. It's going to take a moment to generate the email. And then it's just saying, I'm sharing this link to you. Don't know why that's not generating very well there, but my Outlook's not open. But you get the idea. You've got plenty of options for sharing it. And idea with this is send that link. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to go and open Chrome in incognito mode. So basically, this is Chrome without me being logged in as myself. So it's like any old person who's coming to fill that form. So they click on the link from their email or whatever, however you've distributed it. So if I click onto that, up eventually, I'll use my internet connection, pops the form, and it will be quicker than this at your end. Again, just because I'm streaming. There we go, there's the form. So let me fill this one in. So here we go, Ben, I want IT support job. I'm going to rate 4 stars. I can start. I'm a bit more desperate now, starting September. Once I'm ready, I hit submit. Comes up at the end, thanks for your response. It was submitted. If I close that down, go back to, so again, look, there's one response. Can you see, if I click onto there? This, I must admit, this one isn't great. It's good for surveys. Can you see it gives you kind of a little graph and what your average ratings are and stuff like that. So that's quite good for surveys. But really the thing I'm more interested in personally is if I close that form down, which then will reveal the spreadsheet that sits behind. Look, I've now got a nice Excel spreadsheet with Ben applied, wanting IT support, gave a rating of 4. That's when they can start start delivering and coming in. You see, that's the date it was submitted. That was the completion time of it. So they started filling it in then, and they completed it then. And this email and name here, if you only let organizational people fill it in, their email address and their name will appear. But it says anonymous because I could have been anyone because it was just a plain old link. So can you see that's really good for like mass data collection? But let me just go back into the form because I had a question from Hayley. The last option on the styles page is an option to insert your own graphic or create your own style. Have a look. So I think you're talking about themes. So this one here, this will be upload an image, and this will be for the entire background. So let's just go and search Bing. Let's put car in there. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of trailblazing here a little bit, but what do we fancy? Let's go for, well, that's like off Top Gear then, isn't it? It's reasonably priced car. Let's go for that one. Add. Be willing to bet this is just going to cover the background. Can you see there? So yeah, it gives you a bit, can you say it gives you a bit of an option? So if you've got somebody who's really good with, say, Photoshop or something, and they can craft a nice background image, that could be quite good. That helps you brand. I think as well, see job title there. There's also, if I click onto that little button there, I'll put a little picture of this tiny car there. Let's see what that looks like. Click add. I mean, this could be a logo, couldn't it? You could put it there. So yeah, you can do you see what I mean? It's still quite limited, but I mean, really for what they're giving you, I mean, I think it's still pretty good. And you have to kind of pay the compromise price really for this. Right, bro, that answered your question. Fantastic. So I'll mark that one as answered off. So yeah, look, sorry I've waffled on a bit longer than I thought I would. I thought it was going to aim for about 30 minutes and it's gone on for 40. But that's the general gist of what I was here to show you. What I'll do is, I'll put the slide up from earlier on where we talked about the content. So we have a little bit of a time to sort of digest what I've covered. And then during that time, if you've got any questions, feel free to bash them on the Q&A window. But yeah, we've had a little bit of a look at forms in Word and how they're really, really good for really, really heavily formatted forms, but not so good for the data collection, but you get exactly what you want it to look like. But you get the control as well. And we've also had a look at forms in Excel whereby you don't necessarily get the look and feel you're exactly wanting, but it's really good if you've got to collect big chunks of data from lots of separate people, okay? And Word forms, as long as you've got a version of Word installed, you can do it. And Excel forms, the online forms, as long as you either have a paid for Office 365 account or a live account, you can get cracking and build them. And I know I'm here talking about Microsoft stuff, but do keep in mind Google also do in their Drive a version of this forms, idea as well. Different sort of how you do it, but very, very similar in principle. You'll be able to pick up how to do it from what we've talked about with the Microsoft stuff. Okay, so I can see nothing's coming question-wise. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end that in a moment. Probably in the next hour or two, I'll send you a link to our YouTube channel where you can get the recording for this. Feel free to fill the feedback form in that should appear after this webinar is finished. And all it's left for me to do is just leave you with one very, very quick commercial message from our sponsors, which is us, about online training and on-site training. And I hope to see you on a future webinar. I really appreciate your time. Hey, thank you very much. Have a great day.